Welcome back to the Armchair Attorney Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Leffler, a real-life lawyer and an adjunct law professor, and from time to time, someone who screams about things on the internet. Now, there's one thing people know about me. There's maybe two things people know about me. One, that I love to scream about things on the internet. I tend to be okay at that. But the thing that I love more than anything, other than my family, of course, are trailers. Oh, yeah. We're talking about trailers. Now, you might be saying, what kind of trailer, man? Are you talking about a 53-foot van with swing doors? Maybe. How about a 28-foot pup with a roll-up? Can we talk about flatbeds? Oh, we absolutely can talk about flatbeds. What about tarps, man? That's an interesting thing. Dump trailers, they're all over the place. I love all trailers. And what I have found as I've traveled across the United States of America is that you love trailers too. Why do you love trailers? Is it because that's the most common asset class in the movement of heavy-duty freight? If it's at your doorstep or on your shelf, chances are it came on a trailer. Now, I also count chassis and containers as trailers because they are, in fact, trailing equipment. It's what's inside that box. All the tracking, all the visibility. It's all a proxy for what's inside that beautiful box. That drive van, maybe composite panels, maybe sheet and post. I don't know. You're running FRPs? No, we're not running FRPs. Now, I'm excited because today I get to talk about trailers. And as many of you know, nothing gets me more pumped about supply chain than commercial trailers. But before we can get to my very special guest, I have to do a quick shout out to the folks that help make this thing possible. First and foremost, DAT Dial-A-Truck since 1978. 1978. DAT has been helping truckers and brokers discover more freight. They have been on a tear, or so I've heard from my good friend, Mr. Ken Adamo. Convoy, Outgo, Trucker Tools, remaking the supply chain one deal at a time. And of course, my great friends over at Genlogs, Ryan Joyce and his team. Oh, they have cameras. And cargo theft is not going away. It's estimated to be a 35 billion, that's billion with a B, annual problem. It's not just opportunistic threat, it's strategic cargo theft. Criminal cartels trying to take the things out of what? Out of trailers. Yes, it all ties back to trailers. Now, I am pumped because the guest we have today, Josh Allen, is not only a supply chain guy who's been in this for a minute, he's also the chief commercial officer for one of the fastest growing 3PLs in the United States. It's not just freight. It's not just warehousing. It's not just trailers. Oh, buddy, it's logistics. So without further ado, allow me to introduce to you my good friend, Josh Allen. Josh, how are you?
Greetings. Thank you. That was great. Great opening.
I have been rehearsing that every single day since we first set this up, so I appreciate that. It is so good to have you, but for folks who don't know who you are you and what do you do?
Yeah, well, for starters, hopefully nobody was dialing in hoping to see a Buffalo Bills quarterback. If they were, for those of you that were dialing in for that, I think it's on a different channel. So I'll let you move on to that one, unless you want to hear me, this Josh Allen, talk about trailers and anything else that comes to mind, Matt.
I know my audience, and they want to talk about trailers. I guarantee you that. All right, so how'd you get into the business, Josh? How'd you get into transportation and logistics?
Yeah, fair enough. Good question. So you can think about my background now as a business builder in this business, in transportation, logistics, supply chain now for about 25 years. And, really the first half of it was spent with smaller family-owned businesses. I mean, very, very humble beginnings, little closets in the northwest suburbs of Chicagoland to Salt Lake City and Louisville, Kentucky, and those sorts of things. So the first half of my career, started with smaller companies and building them to scale and subsequently selling to larger companies. And then the second half, I got the opportunity or had the opportunity to spend with larger companies and learned a lot of different things, different perspectives on building business in this space. And then for about 3.5 years, I helped build a tech company in the Valley, focused on selling industrial products online and then using technology to facilitate international trade and manage transportation through technology. So that was fabulous. And then I'm very, very, very fortunate for the last 2 years to call ITS Logistics my home. And in my role today as Chief Commercial Officer, I have all the focus and responsibility on customers, customer intimacy. I dabble a little bit in strategic procurement and our direction there, but really powering the organization through the lens of customer growth out into the years to come.
Now, just for the folks who are listening to this, as we kind of talk about ITS Logistics, this is a billion-dollar enterprise. Over 3 million, is it close to 4 million square feet of warehouse space and 5,000 commercial trailers. Am I wrong? Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. That's the framework. The 4 million square feet of warehouse is spread across 3 markets. So I think that's important to know. So you've got Reno, Dallas-Fort Worth, as well as Indianapolis. And then our drop fleet is going to power through the end of Q4, well north of 5,000 in terms of numbers. But that also doesn't count our carrier partners that contribute their assets into the mix and that also flow into our TMS and our asset management system that makes this really, really, really robust.
Now, how many trailers, if you were to say with your carrier partners, how many trailers do you have access to or have visibility to?
Hundreds of thousands.
That's incredible. See, this is why we're here. Now, let me go in the Wayback Machine. So you're saying you're in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. I myself am a northwest suburb of Chicago, northeast, I would say, Vernon Hills. So what were you doing in the Chicago suburbs? Because everyone looks and says, oh, you're from Chicago. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm from the burbs. But whereabouts were you at?
Yeah. So, originally I'm from Kansas City, and my dad had a business in the industry, and he actually had several. He started a couple of trucking companies in Kansas City, and then ultimately moved to Chicago and decided to get into the brokerage game. And so in my mid-20s, I was trying to figure out where I was going in life. And so just conversation while I was traveling around as a sales guy in a different industry. He said, hey, listen, I need some help. I need somebody that understands how to sell. I need somebody that understands, customers and that sort of thing. And I think you'd really like the freight business. It's a people business, and why don't you give it a try? And so there I went. I think I was 25, maybe 26, and started in this business in Lake Zurich, Illinois.
All right.
And again, very humble beginnings. I think there was 5 of us in this teeny tiny little office, and I think I started at the first page of the Illinois Manufacturer's Guide, calling people and asking for freight. So very humble beginning.
What I love about that, Josh, is that so many people that I talked to got in this business not because they just kind of stumbled upon it, but because they had family that did it. They had family that were in this. And that's my father's a roadway guy back in the 70s, started his own company in the 90s. And when we say reputation and it's a relationship business, there's no better way to learn that than working with your family, because you can be anything you want publicly, but they know who you are and they know the morals they want to leave you with. So working with your dad, like, what was that like? Did you get yelled at like I did, or was it a good experience? Did you learn a lot?
We learned a lot. Holy smokes. Over the course of 8 or 9 years, you learn all kinds of things. You learn how to manage relationships, as a father and son, as an employer, how to manage conflict in the middle, how to manage success. Nobody talks about that. When everybody's successful, well, how much of the splendor goes to dad and how much goes to son and how much goes to the rest of the company? When do you put funds back into the business? What's it going to be long term? I have my opinion. He has his. Others have theirs. So managing all of those complexities, and for all of you people out there that are in the family business, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I think one of the things, lessons I most appreciate with my father was learning just how important it was to keep your promises. It's a one thing. Like, you in this industry, you could have a bad day and you could recover. It's how you step up after you failed, but it's keeping your promise. And that's a reputational thing that I will never forget from the chances working with my father. So, but the chance I got to escape, I was like, oh, okay, we're doing something different now. We sold his business in 2018. He got to retire, did a phenomenal exit, and then I got to go into the industry. So what was your transition like? So you said you got into like the big business. I saw you worked with a little startup called XPO. What was that all about?
Oh, those guys?
Yeah. For this mom and pop operation.
Yeah. So similar. My dad and his company moved towards an exit, and he and the company went one way, and I decided, I think I'd like to try something else and look at something different. And so I ended up moving to Louisville, Kentucky, and starting a business for actually an energy brokerage of all things.
Interesting.
And it was a transportation business, but it was an opportunity that they saw years ago. This is back in 2010, years ago, to drive freight into, wait for it, a marketplace.
Oh, I've heard of marketplaces. There's a couple of them now, I heard. I think our friends at Highway have one now.
Yeah, how in vogue, right? Only 15 years ago, and they were a little bit ahead of their time. But anyway, the long and short of it is that the business that I helped to build in Louisville, Kentucky, ultimately got sold twice. And the second time to XPO, before the spinoffs and all the different things that have taken shape with that organization. And so I had the opportunity to join that company, in the early acquisition days, so 2013. And so I was there for several more acquisitions down the road and got to learn tons. Very, very, very thankful for my time and grateful for the opportunities I had there, because I got to learn pretty much every mode. I get to learn all about different revenue management techniques, capabilities, the power that it has inside building a business. I could go on for days of things that I learned there in that leadership, but it was fantastic. I used to kid around that I felt like I felt like Kevin Costner and Bull Durham, and that I was doing pretty good as Crash Davis, hitting dingers in the minor leagues, and then holy smokes, I joined XPO and it was all of a sudden the big leagues, and we're off and doing huge things, and so it was phenomenal.
Well, you got to see the side of like the small mom and pop family operation. You had to see one of the best operators and best consolidation and roll-ups we'd ever seen in the industry.
Yeah.
At what point in your career did you realize, like, oh, I can't get out of this industry? Or do you still think like, oh, there's a way I can do something different? I don't have to be in the supply chain.
Well, I think, as the speed picked up at XPO for me, and I saw, the opportunity to scale, the sophistication, the nuances of building bigger businesses, I was smitten. It was absolute intrigue for me every day of how do you bring all these pieces to fruition, and then at that organization, part of the cross-selling strategies and the combination of those business units and how those pieces fit together, and then further how the culture from the acquisitions fit together. It was so stimulating for me. And so at that point, I'm sure that applies in other industries, but in a craft that I knew at that point very well, I felt pretty confident that I was going to continue this journey for the rest of my career. And here I am now. I did have a 3.5-year stint that was mildly outside. It certainly was outside because I did not learn about selling solar construction material at XPO. I can promise you
interesting.
that I did learn that while trying to build a tech company in the Valley. So, but I actually came back.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is where home is. So happy to be back, and happy to be with ITS.
What I find really fascinating about what you kind of outlined, what you learned with the time at XPO, and I've heard this from other folks who were part of that growth phase of that incredible rocket ship, was the ability to cross-sell. It's about listening to a customer and understanding what other problems you can solve for them, because you've already been on board as a provider for them. So maybe there's opportunities to do other things. So that the story of growth isn't always let's do the same thing for more people. Sometimes it's about let's do more for the people we really like working with. And as you kind of outlined ITS in the beginning, this is a company that is doing a lot for customers, supporting drop trailers, supporting warehousing. So is that what drew you to ITS? Like, what was the story that was like, I know how I can help grow this company, and I know the value they deliver for their customers today and what they should get in the next, few years or so?
Yeah. Well, super great question, and I have multiple answers for you.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
So first of all, if I don't think you've not been to the office, have you?
No one's invited me yet. I'll
Well,
ping Patrick. Maybe he'll. I've heard great things about Reno, though.
well, today's the day. You please come visit us in Reno, Nevada at headquarters. And the reason why I say it that way is you can have conversations with me. You can have conversations with other leaders in the organization. You can visit some of our other facilities. They have the same passion. You'll feel the same vibe. But once you get off the elevator at one of our offices, you are met immediately with an infectious culture that doesn't quit.
That's right.
And it goes on in several different vectors. But if you like competitive people that are willing to put their careers and livelihoods in other people's hands and build the trust that together that they'll go places. If you like that camaraderie, if you like being on a team, if you like competing, if you like winning, you will like ITS. So that's number one. The culture is phenomenal. I could go on for days about some of the things that we do in order to sustain that culture and drive that culture on a daily basis. But culture number one. The second thing is along kind of adjacent to the culture is the people. There's tremendous people inside this organization, the leadership, the ownership, the people that are serving our customers every day, both inside our transportation centers as well as our fulfillment centers, driving our trucks every day. The people are phenomenal. They're all committed. They all drive our business the same way day in and day out. So it's fantastic. But then beyond that, Matt, if you think about the timing, so this is December. I'm interviewing in Q4 of 23, right?
Oh, that's an interesting time. That's a very interesting time.
Right. So the market is no good, and you can see that it's no good. And I can't remember if people are talking about, it's going to bounce back in 24.
It's always the second half of next year. It's always the second half of next year.
That's right. And so it's on this downward slide, and everybody is feeling negative about the situation. I come into ITS, and so I get off the elevator, and they've got this passion. They've got the music going. Everybody is hyped. Everybody is ready to go. They're going to win no matter what. And they're investing in the business.
Yeah.
You can't pick up an industry periodical and not read that people are taking jobs, off the shelf. They're taking jobs away. They're installing AI agents. They're just making cuts to make cuts because they feel like that's the way to accomplish their financial goals. These guys are doubling down and tripling down. They are hiring more people. They know, and subsequently we know, that the fuel to this organization and doing the right things for our customers and for our business is continuing to hire individuals into our transportation centers and developing that culture and that talent that delivers the service that we need.
It's that culture of continuous improvement. Like you're not if you're satisfied with how everything is right now, you're in the wrong business. Like
That's right.
This is about how do I grow? How do I make sure I'm enabling my customers to grow? So that I can see how that investment when others are pulling back is something that would be really appealing to folks.
So investment in people, investment in capacity. Again, people are taking chips off the table late 2023. These guys are saying, we feel like there's opportunity to expand. We feel like the customers are giving us feedback that say, if you will put investment in these categories, you're going to be rewarded. Maybe not specifically, but directionally, yes. And so ITS is investing in additional distribution centers. And so I think it's worth noting, people don't know, all of our distribution facilities are multi-client in nature. We don't have dedicated facilities. They're not, it's not a business that's out 3 years out the curve from a sales pipeline standpoint that is just selling a dedicated building that we happen to stand up specifically for a customer. No, they're multi-client. They are multifaceted in terms of omni-channel, e-commerce, industrial fulfillment. They're pretty dynamic. So very, very cool. But we are building it in advance. We're investing in it in advance. And then thirdly, the investment in the trailers.
Yes.
Very, very strongly that this solution is a differentiator. And so, yes, we can partner with carriers and they can provide equipment. We can have technology over the top of it that helps us keep track of whose and where they are. But hey, we're going to put our own skin in the game, put our own trailers into the mix. And between the two of us, we have this 1-2 punch and very, very powerful and commanding capacity stack. And so all the while this is going down in 2023, and I'm looking at these guys, I'm saying, yes, gotta be here.
Well, I want to pull a thread here on trailers because a lot of people think I love trailers in a joking fashion, and to an extent, I think everyone should love them. But I'll tell a brief story on how I look at what you all are building with ITS.
Please.
So my father had 4 kids. It was Josh, Matt, Jackie, and Outsourced Fleet Services, and we all knew who the favorite kid was. It was Outsourced, but what Outsourced saw was this new type of enterprise, and it was the enterprise of companies that were getting away from owning everything and looking to outsource certain things. And his first customers, the longest standing customer, was a company called Roadway Package Systems, RPS. And RPS, for the folks who are in the business, it was RPS, and it was Caliber. And their model was they're going to own the trailers and they're going to own the warehousing distribution, but they're going to outsource the transportation. They're going to outsource the mechanics. That company became FedEx Ground. And what Ground saw was that they needed trailers, but everything else was something they could maneuver around and orchestrate. And I think what ITS has done is followed a very similar thought process. Like your customers benefit when you have trailer capacity. And to your point about where people are investing in automation and AI agents, like you can't automate a trailer. You can't automate a trailer. You have to have it. And if you're going to help your shipper customers manage their freight, you ought to probably know how trailers work. So when you get in there and you see that they are in fact investing in this type of equipment, you can tell it's an innovation mindset, which is we know where the future goes because all of the promises of the connected supply chain are predicated on connected, well-maintained trailers. You can't have autonomous trucks without well-maintained trailers. So I love trailers and I love what you guys done. But what I didn't know, and I shame on me because I try to be up to date with all this, you have way more trailers than I thought. I mean, you have a lot of trailers. Is it 5,000? We said 5,000 right now are under, like you guys are having those trailers. That's what you're using today.
That's right.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Right. It's been a growing enterprise, as you know. I think when I started, the count was far less. But listen, customers and big shippers are defining the path, right? This is not, hey, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if we just had all these boxes? We just go buy all these and we go look at them, and we're gonna
mobile warehouses. That's what they are.
They're gonna be so pretty and they're great. No, the solutions are appropriate. The demand is there. And in a market that is suffering from an overarching and a macro demand standpoint, there are still solutions needed to optimize and to create efficiencies for shippers. People ask all the time about, oh, how do I become a shipper of choice? Well, you unlock some of the chaos in the yards and in the docks, and you do a lot of that through trailer utilization.
100%.
And so it works. It works really well. Shippers know it works really well. This is not something new, but what is a little bit different is this hybrid approach. And when I say hybrid, I'm saying that we're delivering an isolated asset. We're delivering a trailer asset of ITSs, and then we're utilizing third-party power in order to facilitate the movement. And by definition alone, that hybrid connection of different power and then own asset, it's a different solution that has a different costing. It has a different methodology. It has different slack, but it provides the flex their broker needs and the consistency of an asset-based carrier.
Absolutely. What I find so interesting, so I come from the asset-based world. So my dad, his time was roadway, and then it was airborne, then it was maintenance for companies like Old Dominion and Pitt, Ohio. And the most efficient way for anyone to move freight when it comes to trucking is drop and hook. Like the idea that you could be a driver, you could show up, you could get your trailer, and you can leave. And for a lot of motor carriers, that's not something they get to do. That a lot of it, like this live load, where they're sitting there with the trailer, having this whole thing happen. And if you're trying to drive a sustainable supply chain, everything has to be incentivized towards drop and hook. And so what you've built, this hybrid capacity, is the ability to help the shipper, for one, and get things moving, but ultimately make it easier for the motor carrier. Because that's another part of the stakeholder. They have to like working with you. And it seems, as far as I can tell, that they enjoy working with you and your team.
Yeah, that's right, Matt. So think about it this way. It's also an opportunity for them to build a business with a different cost structure.
That's right.
And as we expand, as we take on market share, as we evolve with customers that have growing enterprises, those motor carriers, and we have a relatively small universe of carriers that we utilize because for a myriad of reasons, which I'm sure you can appreciate, but it allows them the opportunity to build and grow a business of their own. And we have stories for days of folks that started with 1 or 2 trucks and are now up to 50, or they're up to 75, and they built their business alongside of us as partners. And it's a great story. It's a good story to tell.
What gets me excited about this is like what everyone wants in the supply chain is for everything to get safely delivered on time and undamaged. And we have challenges when it comes to having driver capacity or regulations, but what we know for sure is happening is that if the trailer is there and it's loaded and it's well maintained, you're able to get rocking and rolling. And that takes out so much of the cost of your time and your resources. Let's forget about this market, because this market's a little interesting. Let's talk about the future, because I'm looking ahead. ITS is now offering, you have the warehousing, you have the trailers, you have the hybrid capacity. Do you see temperature control playing here? Are we looking about temp freight, or is that outside the purview for now?
I don't think it's outside the purview. It's not something that we're doing in earnest today, but we do like the opportunity. But again, it comes down to designing the networks and using these appropriately, right? Listening to what our customers are trying to accomplish, and then how it fits, and then how we might be able to solve it over the years. Especially part of our growth and success is the engineering and the solutioning behind the networks and within the networks, whether they are specific to customers or whether they're specific to industries, and then ultimately end up being kind of a shared environment by way of industry vertical. That works. The density works. If we're to get into refrigerated, it absolutely is the same solution. Designing it, a little bit more complexity, but I don't see any reason why we wouldn't.
What I look at this is what you talk about is network balance. And if from the asset carrier guys, like the LTL folks, like, and the XPO folks, like they know immediately what you're talking about. Oh yes, the network has to be balanced. They can't all have the trailers in Florida. They have to be everywhere because they can't just be there. And it's one of those things where as other companies enter the space and get access to trailer capacity, they don't know these lessons, and they're going to learn these lessons over time because anyone can lease trailers and they can buy trailers. They can do all sorts of things with them. Maintaining them and balancing them is a challenge unto itself. Do you foresee maybe something innovative like a temperature control flatbed? Do you think we can get to that place, or is that not going to be in the wheelhouse? Because I think that's a great opportunity for really true differentiation.
I'm going to leave that one in the innovation bucket on your side of the fence. You said something interesting there that I think is very telling, and it's this notion of, well, anybody can go out and buy trailers. Anybody can go out and lease trailers. 100% true. What are you going to do with them? Are you going to operate them? How are you going to modulate them within your TMS? Are you going to share them with customers? Are you going to cut them across your entire network? Are you going to have a team that is dedicated just to moving those trailers? How are you going to do it? And then further, they're not free.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
They're not free. So how are you going to pay for them? And here is the complexity, and here is, I think, some of the magic, what this leadership has pulled off in this endeavor, and that, we understand the window and where it works. We understand the ideal customer profile, sure, but we understand also the geographies. We understand the touches, the length of haul. We understand the slack. And to your point, like, we didn't know it overnight.
That's right.
We had to learn it. But then this all ties back to the culture, right? If you do not have a culture that embraces the challenge, that faces the storm head on, that partners with each other across the organization, up, down, and sideways, you won't pull it off because the drag on the cost is too hard and it's too difficult to make money at. I mean, the asset-based carriers would tell you that.
Absolutely.
So if you can knock down those walls with a winning culture, then you've got a fighting chance at it.
Well, I think we have some great tailwinds behind you, because
for sure,
I think as you talked about like your time with XPO, I mean, there's the old days, it was Yellow, Roadway, and CF. That's who moved everything. And CF became eventually Conway, and Conway eventually became XPO. But the people who understood how to maintain and manage a network of 10, 15, 30,000 boxes, those are not here like they used to be. And so shippers have made it clear that they're shrinking their private fleets. Now they for sometimes they go, I'll keep my own private fleet. And they realize the liability involved. Like, oh, that's not what I'm going to do. And you see the asset-based carriers struggling in this economic environment. But for you guys, you have found a way to hit the right tone where you have the ability to manage a vast network of trailers, deliver incredible value, and still be able to grow and scale that business. Because you're not done yet, are you? I mean, we're talking 5 now. What do you see in 2 years? In 3 years? How many trailers are we talking?
No, I guess it depends on who's listening. But let's just say we'll say that we are 1,000% bullish on the opportunity, the service offering, and what we've done in the past as being a precursor to the future. There's really no slowing it down because it works, right? And if it works, don't fix
it. Are you thinking about autonomous trucks the way that I am? Like, they in the news every couple weeks, every couple months, there's something new about this. What are you thinking about the Kodiaks, the Auroras? Are they folks that like they're friendly with what you do? Because you have the trailers, obviously. Well, how do you view the robots?
I think it's a handshake. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm not focused on it right now.
Okay.
I do read about it, and I'm a whiz bang type of guy. I like technology. I like things. Obviously, I tried a startup.
Absolutely. That's why you're the perfect person to kind of say,
Yeah,
okay, my feeling is, oh, go ahead.
I think it works. I think the solution works. I think when you start to consider these notions of, you know, infrastructure as a service, if you look at some of the pooling stations, if you can see that, and I can see some of that coming. We know that people are working on it. We know there's some very, very smart and talented people that are working in those spaces. We know it makes sense. We know it makes sense eventually, and to think that it's never going to be here in my career, I think is foolish.
I'm with you. My feeling is, as time goes on, when I look at automation, I put in the autonomous trucks, the AI agents. Like if you can offshore it, you might be able to automate it. This trend is what doesn't require us to consent. It's like containerization in the 50s and 60s, like deregulation in the 80s and 90s. This is the next big era that's coming for us. Not tomorrow, but in certain places, you say, oh, Houston to Dallas, sure, we can run an autonomous truck for now. It'll be interesting to see what the FMCSA does. But I want to talk about a more pressing issue. We have seen this incredible rise of cargo theft and fraud. I know you're close to the team at Highway, and they've done some incredible things. I got GenLogs as a sponsor. How is ITS viewing this epidemic, and what do you think the solutions look like?
Well, the first thing is, yes, we absolutely acknowledge that it's a problem. It's if you look at the statistics, you know that you can argue that, you know, there's been some plateaus, but bottom line is it's a problem, and it's a problem for our industry. And I think that every time that I talk about this, you know, I challenge my peers in our community to band together, because I think that's the only way that we get to.
It needs collaboration, absolutely.
Yes, one-offs. It's too much. This industry is too fragmented for one-offs to be able to tackle it. So I believe that we need cooperation across peer groups and that sort of thing. But, you know, we certainly invest. We certainly invest in the technologies. Certainly with Highway and with GenLogs, and we built a formidable tech stack, and that helps us in the vetting process of carriers. But then it doesn't stop there. Like if you're relying completely on the whiz bang and the techs to solidify your carrier partnerships, you're missing out. Or it's just a matter of time. If you do enough loads, that something's going to go right. But our training that we have for individuals that are on our teams and our desks, and the things that they have to go through in order to understand assigning one of our loads to a carrier, it's mind-blowing to me compared to when I started in this business, you know, 25 years ago.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's absolutely required. I think that, you know, I think the further rigor that is coming, drilling all the way down into driver identities and that sort of thing, and those details, it's crazy to me to think that that's where we're heading, but 100% that's where we're heading.
Yeah, I think one of the pieces that I think gets left out in these conversations of cargo theft and fraud is connected trailers. So in the United States, for example, we have about 5 million trailers, and about 1/3 or so have some form of tracking, telematics that pings at some interval.
Yep.
But the folks that invest in the right trailer with the right tracking, we've seen reports now of spoofing ELDs, people removing like the Orbcomm or the Skybit device off a trailer. But we're seeing the value of a connected trailer, maybe not for stopping the theft, but being able to recover the freight. And so it's one of these interesting paradigms where 20 years ago, you say, I can tell you what a trailer is twice a day. You'd be like, that's magic. That's got to be sorcery. And now it's like, I can tell you what the tire pressure system says and where the trailer is every 4 minutes. It's like, oh,
right.
It's a new paradigm. So your investment in the innovation side for your customers, because they want to know where their trailer and their freight is also one of the ways you can combat strategic cargo theft, insofar as you can say, we know what the trailer is. Maybe we know where they're going to be orchestrating. But to your point, this is criminal cartels that are transnational. It's a totally different environment than it was 30 or 40 years ago.
That's right. I do believe that part of the future that we haven't tapped into yet, but it's just around the corner, Matt, is the forecasting and the predictability of what is going to happen, where that trailer is going to be based off of the data that has been created along the way. But that 100% is coming, and I think that will be telling and be very, very powerful for all of the stakeholders in the mix of this business.
Yeah. So if you know what the trailer is going to be tomorrow and in a week from now and 2 weeks from now, because you've built the network knowing where these things are going to go. The only issue is, like, God forbid the criminals figured this out and like, oh, well, we know to be at this travel center. We're ready for this one. But this is the thing of, like, the cat and mouse game. We continue to innovate as they are chasing right behind us, trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, as we look ahead, what are you most excited about for 2026? Like, what has got you going, like, this is the thing I'm excited for?
I tell you, my biggest passion in this business, and probably in any business, just as a business builder now over the years, the thing that gets me most excited every day is empowering futures. We use it as a tagline for a lot of the things that we do at ITS, but my favorite thing in the world to do is to create jobs and to create opportunity and to help other people get to where they want to go. That could be, by adding, individuals into our organization, helping them build a career. It could be helping people at the final stages of their career put a cap on it or a nightcap on it. It could, whatever it is, but helping people accomplish their goals is typically what I'm most passionate about. Now, if you want to ask me, intellectually, how am I thinking about 26 and what am I looking forward to understanding? I'll tell you, I'm on bated breath about the market. And I'm very curious to see how everybody is going to play in the Q1 RFP or RFQ period. There will be a lot of theories out there, especially as the capacity continues to dwindle off, especially as we have more head fakes throughout the rest of the year on capacity crunches. I'm very curious to see how people treat the pricing engagements in Q1. And so I'm intellectually queued up about that, but my passion is for the people and helping them get to where they want to go.
That's incredible. For me, I'm most excited about my twins being fully potty trained. I'm really excited for that because having 2 sets of diapers for 2 different sizes is a supply chain crisis every day. But I do think we're going to see some interesting things happen over the next few months, both in the legal and regulatory framework, that'll help kind of give us better visibility into what next year looks like. It's a blessing and a curse to live in interesting times, and we are living in very, very interesting times. Are there any conferences you got coming up that you're excited about?
I think we are. I personally am not on the circuit for the rest of the year.
Well, I'm thinking about putting together a trailer conference. Maybe we can have a conversation about that. That might be something people get excited about. I think we've let the trailer, it hasn't had a chance to really speak. It's in its language. So we'll have to connect on that offline. I think that might be an interesting idea.
I think a lot of people would like to understand that. I think a lot of people would be supportive.
Well, for people who want to know more about ITS Logistics, or for you, Josh, where can they find you? Where should they go?
Well, today you want to go to its4logistics.com to know more about the organization. You can also look us up on LinkedIn. You'll see my friend Patrick and our astute marketing team. They shout from the rooftops on a constant basis. So give us a follow on LinkedIn or any other social channel.
Well, I appreciate you coming by today. Thank you for making time. I never get tired of talking about trailers, and I appreciate you making time to visit with us. And I look forward to having you back sometime very soon.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you very much for having me, Matt.
I'll see you in Reno one of these days.
Yes, you are invited. Let's do this.
Well, thank you, my friend. Josh Allen. Oh, the things you'll move. It's not warehousing. It's not trailers. It's not just supply chain. It's logistics, all the things. You like things. I like things. We all need the things, and the things come in a box, often with doors that swing open like barn doors. And I'm not just glad handing here. I'm telling you the truth. Thank you, as always, for tuning in, for listening to the podcast. If you can, support our sponsors, support DAT, Dial a Truck. 1978. That's right, 1978. If you are new to DAT, you can go to the link in the show notes. That link will save you 10% off the first year of any DAT product, I think. That seems right. I can clarify that later. And of course, my friends over at Genlogs, lights, cameras, action. No, cameras. Watching for action. Freight intelligence. This is a new standard of care for understanding the way freight moves across the United States. If you don't know about Genlogs, go to the link in the show notes, click the button, watch a demo. You will be mesmerized. Until then, I will see you at some point in the near future. I'm sure of it. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Have a terrific day and happy Halloween. Quote the Raven, nevermore.